May you live in interesting times, they said. I have been thinking about the reading that we did at the solar eclipse, the annular solar eclipse on October the 2nd. And I've left the cards up at my house, and I am not there now. I wanted to do the continuation with that, but I'm going to wait until this moon, this full moon that is coming on the 17th of October. Today, however, is Vijaya Dashami or Dussehra, the day that the goddess defeats the demons of the ego that I have been writing about on the blog. From the Devi Mahatmaya, the Devi Mahatmaya, I'm saying that wrong, which is an old Sanskrit text that I'm going to link in the description box below. It's 112, 17 some odd pages. Really worth reading. Old Vedic scripture that talks about impulses from the unconscious that can become demonic when repressed. And the goddess is the receptive energy, right? It's that power of love that doesn't say no to anything, to which everything is yes. And as I was looking at the astrology tonight, which is a more connected sky than we have ever seen in our lifetimes, every planet is in relationship to every other planet in the chart right now, or at least that's how it looks. And then as we move toward that full moon, they're all moving into squares with each other. These are aspects of tension that the sky is showing us. Now, the planets in the sky don't affect people. You know, the impulses of consciousness and unconsciousness affect people. So what they affect are places, things, energies upon the earth, and we are in turn affected by that. But we have the ability to be detached from all of this crazy connection. Although I can't remember the last time I wasn't multitasking. I can't remember the last time I didn't have tons of things on my mind that needed some sort of resolution. And this time is reminding me of Alfred North Whitehead's concept of concrescence, the movement into becoming actual, and this connection between all of the different planets, then moving into this hard aspect, has just got me in a really contemplative completion sort of mood. A lot of things that are really interesting for me personally have kind of turned final in the last 24 hours. And it feels like I've been fighting these 9 shape-shifting, repressed energies of social Darwinism that have become violent threats through capitalism. And this is all taking place through the concrescence of the body. And it's all kind of taking place through the symbol of Pluto in Capricorn for me right now. And that is the goat, right? And the goat can be the greatest of all time. The goat can be the scapegoat. In this case, I really feel like it's the body. And all of the connectedness becoming square by the full moon on the 17th means that this victory of the goddess over these demonic forces, these repressed forces that have become violent, is something we all have to feel one way or another in the body. It's something we have to complete for ourselves. Where is the justice? So I decided to use a different deck for traveling this time. This is the Golden Thread Tarot. GoldenThread.co is a UK company, and I really like how these feel in my hands. And since that eclipse was in Hasta Nakshatra, and it's all about what we can do with our hands, how we can slay and integrate the repressed demons tangibly, I decided I wanted to use this particular deck. And then I want to record a meditation afterward, because I want the meditation for myself and I need the recording. So I hope you'll indulge me with these two things. Okay. Om Shrim Mahalakshmiye Namaha. Om Aim Saraswatiye Namaha. Om Dum Durgaye Namaha. Om, Om, Om. We are in the center of this mandala of connection in this moment of concrescence, and we are represented by the Three of Pentacles. This is a card of, forgive me for not having this down pat, but a card of collaboration, a card of coming together. It is a card of social concrescence in a positive atmosphere. So it's possible that the exterior world is in a state of, let's say, shall you live in interesting times, like an interesting or difficult state. But what it's doing to us in the body is bringing together necessary forces to become actual, to become more connected. And it just so happens that there are 3 goddesses in the Navratri epic, and there are 3 people in this card. So I'm going to take this as a sign of the times and the completion of Navratri, the triumph of good over evil. And this concrescence is crossed by, the Page of Swords. This is a card of spying and a card about the mind being immature, being untried, untested, skeptical, paranoid, and somewhat mentally disjointed. It's kind of the difficulty that one faces as one grows into a collaborative mind, right? It's like the polarity a little bit, but it's an immature polarity. And I think that's the message of this card, is that the obstacle is that we're young and we're polarized because we don't know how much our minds are giving us trouble. It's a good thing, though, because if it's the mind that's giving you trouble, you can do something about it. Okay, this is founded in, yes, polarity. So the chariot can only move forward when the horses of light and darkness are harnessed together under the will of this angel, right? And angels are mighty creatures. They're fearsome creatures. And we have to be a little bit shocked when we see them coming together in this way. But because there's an angel doing it, it seems realistic. It seems like it can be done. And we are not angels. We are greater than angels. We are the ones here on the battleground earth doing the actual work. We are the Merkaba, right? We are the ones that are filled with the divine in the body. We are the ones bringing spirit to matter. And it's quite a ride. I mean, you've got to admit, more and more lately, trying to pull this concrescence together in a divine order is kind of difficult. But that's what we're sent to do. That's our path. That's our road. The chariot, number 7. It's a healing path. It's a concrescence. It's a very connected chart. I mean, even the Merkaba in the middle there looks like a very connected chart. So we're on to something here. This is crowned by 9 of Cups. This is wish fulfillment, plain and simple. This is getting what you want. And I've always thought that, in the traditional Rider-Waite, he looks like a very smug tavern keeper. And he looks like he's kind of inviting the person toward the apex of his spread legs. Like, I've got all this. What are you going to do for me in order to, gain what you want? So there's a sense in which this is, again, in the body. It's a desire being fulfilled, but what I'm getting from everything that we have here, this collaboration, this kind of spying and espionage being founded in trying to pull disparate forces together, is that, it's crowned by this status quo, getting what you want kind of attitude. And that's that social Darwinism, capitalism, yes, but it's also something that can be undermined. The project of materialism is in some way undercut by the body and the spirit come together. There is this angelic impulse, this pulling together of matter and spirit that makes it more than just material. It's also spiritual. So a spiritual and material desire, not one or the other, but both. And we're moving away from, collectively, we're moving away from the wheel. And good, because the wheel, although it is much more than karma, it can represent this cycle of cause and effect, to which, where we are right now in these interesting times, is a reckoning, right? So we're getting to the place where we're getting those horses to move in the same direction instead of round and round in a circle, round and round in a cycle of repetition. Beyond the battle of good and evil, there is a field, Rumi said, right? Beyond that. So as we move away from the cycles that we've been locked in before, this multitasking concrescence, compiling. We're moving toward the Ten of Pentacles, which is, yes, at one level, creative materialism, having all the wonderful things in your basket, in your cart, but it's also understanding the real value of matter, the real value of the trees, the water, the earth, the air, the fire, and how these things can be shared in a family structure. Very importantly, this has to do, merely, again, with generational wealth, but it's also about generational wealth, right? What we leave, the legacy, it's very possible that we're about to destroy the planet. And that's not a desirable legacy. So we're moving toward a desirable legacy. That's a nice thing to know, especially in times like these. I feel like we're getting a very hopeful vision instead of, negative wish fulfillment. We're getting maturation and growth here and collaboration. And I like to see that reiterated as to where we are in this present moment and who we are to the present moment. Oh, the Two of Cups. This is kind of everybody's going to say like soulmate card, right? I wouldn't necessarily call it, it's not necessarily like a romantic soulmate in my mind, because look at the snakes, right? We got snakes, we've got cups, we've got Mars and Venus, and we've got a lion with wings up at the top. That's like a griffin, right? A magical creature. So a collaborative combination. Once again, repeating this theme of collaborative concrescence. Maybe all this difficulty is just what it's taking for us to come together, to see that we are a human family, that we are soul-mated to ourselves, that the soul and the body are one. Gosh, I hope so. So that's who and where we are in the present moment. All around us, the sun. Most positive card in the deck. The most life-giving of all the energies that we can have. Also, a whole lot of solar activity. CME is causing these beautiful auroras. I'll try to put one on the thumbnail for the title page of this, because we've really seen them beautifully up here where I am. Very positive energies. This is highly hopeful. If the energy that is all around us at this point is the sun, then these collaborations, these moving forward of direction, the reckoning, the legacy will be very positive. What we hope for and fear, healing. Ain't that the truth? The stars of the seven sisters, the Pleiades, above her head, she's pouring water into water and water onto the land. These elemental properties can, I've seen some interpretations of this card where it's not healthy, it's not healing, it's water, right? And we have had a lot of water with all this concrescence in the sky. Massive, massive weather events. I don't want to deny that. But there's a sense of purging with this. And, not to minimize anybody's losses or anything like that. I'm speaking more metaphorically and metaphysically, that there is a sympathetic action of water on the land and water on the water that comes of this concrescence. If indeed the emotional aspect of humanity is reflected around us, which I think it is reflected in our hopes and fears. It's a very emotional time for all of us, and the tides rise. The tides move toward this full moon in a swelling sort of way. And that can be healing for us. That can float our boats emotionally. And it can also, again, bring us together as we see people trying to cope with this rising tide of emotion. I hope that made sense. It did to me. And that's a beautiful card. These are all amazing cards for us to have right now. I love this reading. Finally, there's a couple of different ways you could read this card as well. Authority. The Emperor is the outcome. I like to read this as self-sovereignty. I like to read this as all of the elements, because he's the king of all the kings, right? So he's the king of all four suits. And that means that all of the elements are being brought together in this concrescence, in this connected way. And what looks like a disaster to a caterpillar, to the master, looks like a butterfly. The perspective that we have to take on interesting times is a higher one. We have to look at it from our most evolved material and spiritual desire. The hope that we can have everything we want despite, four kings telling you you're being a dreamer. You can still find a way to liberate yourself from social Darwinism and capitalism. That the body will survive teaching the horses how to work together. That you don't get trampled under their feet. That the snakes don't bite you, but that they come together to give you your griffin self, your highest self, the mastery of the earth. Now, I'm saying it's about a concrescence and a connected chart. What do the cards say it's about? The cards say it's about leaving behind the 8 cups that dissatisfied you to go in search of your 9th cup. To go in search of the cup that truly satisfies. This is a card of leaving behind the immature mind and understanding that the emotional body is what makes your vehicle move, is what takes the positive movement out of this cycle of difficulty, this continual circling of the karma, and it moves it on to the next level. So that's what it's about. That's why these energies all come together, and sometimes in such a difficult way, because it's time to level up and it's time to move on. I hope that means something to you and in your circumstance, and that at this Vijaya Dashami, this triumph of good over evil, of a concrescence, of a becoming actual, that this actuality for you moves us out of, being the scapegoat and into the greatest of all time. Moves us away from just more and more and more demonic evolution, like more and more and more demons coming up to be dealt with, and into a way that materialism and the body help us move on to that next level in a self-sovereign way. A great reading. Glad I did it. See you in the meditation. And thank you for your attention.